Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. After a long series of presentations today, more or less on technical contents, I have the pleasure to hold the last presentation with a slightly different purpose. What I'd like to do is I'd like to introduce the International Associations of Institutions of Navigations. I will never learn to spell this fluently. So what I'd like to tell you is who we are and what we are doing. I do this on behalf of this institution, and I do this under the head of the president of the Austrian Institute of Navigation. So first of all, some words on the history. Beginning in 1957, you could see a long time ago, three institutions of navigations launched a series of conferences on navigation issues. The main focus this time has been the separation of vessels in the maritime community. The conference has been sponsored by British, French, and German Institution of Navigation, and focusing on the maritime field. These three institutions worked out two reports and recommendations, which has been accepted some years later by the International Maritime Organization. This is first the traffic regulation in the Dover Strait, and then the separation of traffic at sea. So this was the starting point for our work. And doing so, the IAIN pointed out a sort of way to establish common standards, common solutions for the maritime organizations or community. And at the same time, they had the feeling and they saw the need that they need a constitution body. So they came up in 1975 and founded the IAIN. And this time they have been 7 institutes which are listed here. It has been Australia, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, United Kingdom, and United States. So these are the founding members. And 1 year later, IAIN has given the consultative status to the Maritime Organization, and some 10 years later to the ICAO, to the aviation field. So the institution is a non-governmental and non-profit-making organization which is registered in the Netherlands, and currently we have 19 members, so you could see that the number of members increased, and the blue lighted are the founding members. So you see that the members are really spread around the whole world. And as I mentioned, I'm from the Austrian Institute of Navigations. So this seems to be a little bit not in the right order, but I think it's not that important. This slide just wants to show you the composition of our board. So I want to draw the attention that the officers you have listed here are really from all over the world, try to represent all the institutions of navigations. And besides these officers, we have some official representatives, where I'm one of these. So coming back to our aims and objectives, what's our main aim is to advise, consult, and inform different international institutions or organizations who may benefit from navigation information. And if you look back to the time when this institution has been founded, this was 40 years ago, if you mentioned navigation this time, you mentioned navigation based on stars and not that kind of navigation we are doing today based on satellites. So for historical reasons, our main fields of interests are sea, aviation, space, and land, which are listed here. And I want to tell you in the next 2 slides what we did in the past, how we could contribute to international navigation. So the first field of interest I mentioned already is the maritime field. We are represented since more than 30 years there, and the IMO is based in London. That's the main reason why the representative is usually one member of the Royal Institute of Navigation, which is the United Kingdom Institute of Navigation. And the main activities we have done are connected to ship routing schemes, to collision regulations, electronic charts, accuracy standards, and the requirements for worldwide radio navigation systems. The second very important field of interest is the aviation field. We are as well represented since more than 30 years, and you have here listed our main activities in the past. So we gave input to standards on fuel reserve policy, vertical and horizontal separation of standards, the North Atlantic track system, South Atlantic routes and procedures, and so on and so on. Here I want to mention just the World Geodetic System of 84, which was recommended to use. Other fields of interest are the Hydrographic Organization, and we are today here, the IGS, where we have the observer status. I listed the actions we sorted out in our last officers meeting this year, where we have the feeling that we could contribute, but I would like to mention that this should not be the final list and the exhaustive list. So we try to find people in all the different institutions all over the world who could contribute to other parts, other working groups we are dealing with here. So this already brings me to my last slide. I come back to the starting point, which has been this triennial Congress on Navigation Matters, which is the main tool for exchange of information, and in former times has been a very important conference on navigation matters. World changed. Today we have plenty of satellite navigation conferences all over the world. The number of conferences is increasing from year to year. We have national, international, many different conferences. So what we have to do now is really to find a new role, new position for this conference. This year we organized the 13th conference. We have been around the whole world. We have been in Korea, here in California, in San Diego, in Europe, everywhere. And this year the conference will take place in October in Europe, in Sweden. I think this is a very nice picture which should really convince you that this might be very nice to be there. Some days ago, I received an email from the Organizing Institute, which is the Nordic Institute of Navigation, which had the idea to collaborate with the ICG. So this is a matter I have to sort out now, but I think this could be a good starting point really to find a new role, new position in the world of navigation. So you are invited to attend this meeting or to contribute if you like so. So many thanks, and I think after this long day, I finalize this day and
thank you.
Give back to Ken.
Great, thank you.